Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dot from Dot Me Now Coaching and Entertainment. For coaching, my links are down below. In fact, if you're seeing this before August 22nd, I'm still doing half off on various different spiritual services. Go to my YouTube and then click on the community tab. Look at the half off genie post to find out how to get half off on various different spiritual services. In fact, Galactic Akashic readings and Akashic soul readings are actually very good for finding out more about your soul, your soul's gifts. I'm telling you, bro, if you guys need that, links down below. I also have the Patreon down below. I actually dropped the astral projection course. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to build that ability, I got that down below. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So we have another episode of Reawakening to Your Spiritual Nature. And this one is about developing your soul's natural gifts, right? So this video might be kind of long. I want to mention a few things. I'm gonna mention like the different clairs as like a base thing, but then also how to discover your own natural gifts. And I'm gonna also explain some common gifts that I notice people have, right? So, without further ado, let's just get into this video, right? Let's first just understand this. Your soul does have natural gifts and abilities, right? That you could easily tap into and unlock. In fact, when it comes to Egypt, everybody loves Isis, right? And I put quotes because if you really fuck with Egypt, you would call her a Set. You know what I'm saying? Because Isis is a Greek name, you know? A Set was the actual name of the deity back in Egypt, you know? Now, with all that being said, Isis or a Set represented your spiritual wisdom. And if you actually connected with Isis, you would connect with your spiritual power and your spiritual gifts. You wouldn't actually talk to a girl named Isis. Like, no, if you're talking to a girl named Isis, that's not the real Set. It's not the real Isis. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she says, "My name is Isis." If it's a real being, it should at least say your Set. If it was really the true God, it should at least say your Set. But I'm just saying that because with different deities, right? They literally are meant to access different parts of yourself. And you can actually work with a Set to activate your soul's wisdom and your soul's natural gifts. Understand this though, it will be your soul's natural gifts and your soul's natural wisdom. And I'm saying that specifically because many people oftentimes want to do things which contradict their soul. When it comes to a Set or Isis, that actually deals with your soul. So tapping into that energy, you would have to be aligned with your soul. And if you're not, you're going to have things pop up which make you get in tune with your soul's wisdom. That's what it's like working with a Set or Isis, you know? So with all that being said, just understand that on a base level, we all have certain gifts and abilities. And at a base level, we should try to develop our clairs, right? So we have clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, right? And you develop these all in different ways. So with clairvoyance, right, just like spiritual sight, you can actually see spirits like with your physical eyes and or inside your mind's eye. For me, it'd be mainly inside my mind's eye, but I actually started seeing physical shit too. Like the other day, I had this shit come through and I call it a fucking Drexel. This shit was like this fucking like samurai robot, but it's like it had, you know, like how you know how niggas on Tron look? So imagine like the Tron outfit, but on like a big ass warrior samurai robot. That shit was crazy. That like I saw it with my physical eyes in my room, bro. That shit was wild as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I've seen like orbs and I've seen like different like floating energies and stuff like that. Like I be seeing these blue purplish Jones just floating inside my room at times, right? But I wasn't always like that. In fact, I didn't always like, bro, I had to work on my clairvoyance. I've been heavily working on that. So when I tell you how to work on it, believe you me, I know what I'm talking about. So on a basic level, simply just open up your imagination. Because when it comes to your clairs, right, your clairs are just different spiritual senses that interpret information in a certain kind of way. And if like, let's say you're already very clairaudient, right? You could you could hear different spirits, right? You know what I'm saying? All you have to do now is just turn that information into a vision. Just open up your imagination and just let it form the frequency of those words and put it into an image. Or like let's just say like it don't even gotta be your clear audience, right? You can just have simple thoughts like, what should I do today, right? When you think those thoughts, what should I do today? Actually see your day playing out. Should I go to the store? See yourself walk to the store. Just use your imagination way more. Like when you're outside and then you feel off about some shit, open up your imagination and see what that off feeling looks like. You see, when you're around certain people and they make you feel a certain kind of way, just open your imagination and be like, yo, imagination, show me what this energy looks like inside of my head. You know what I'm saying? And just let your like literally, you may feel like I'm making up the image, but even then, right? Really peep this shit. Really peep this shit, right? If you're making up the image, right? You're still making up the image based upon some kind of frequency and emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to feel something first and then make the image. So you're at least seeing how your mind represents different frequencies inside of your head, whether you make it up or not make it up. Because let's say you're around a certain person and they make you feel like, let's say they make you feel like disgusting, right? And then you fucking see a disgusting being inside your head. You could have just saw a random ass fish, you know what I'm saying? But you chose to represent that energy as a disgusting monster. So that could help you to see how you kind of interpret different energies as visions, you see? So that will help you, increase your spiritual sight. Now, as far as getting it to project outwardly, a big part of that is like I'll like meditate with my eyes open and I'll look at my peripherals. And I also do this thing where I kind of like try to project my mind outside through my eyes. That literally, I can't tell you how I do that. I kind of just set the intent to do that. I kind of just feel like shit is like forming outside me, right? Anyway, now we have clairaudience, spiritual hearing. To develop clairaudience, all you really have to, and by the way, I promise you, I'm gonna talk about more advanced. I'm gonna talk about more advanced gifts also, like astral projection, timeline control. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna mention all these things too, but let me build the base because you actually need this base to build up the other things. You see what I'm saying? If you have no way to connect with the spirit world, if you have no spiritual senses, you can't really. It's gonna be harder to. It's gonna be harder to develop your gifts. You know, and I'm gonna explain why. So let me just finish this up real quick. So with clairaudience, right? To build clairaudience, simply just be open to hearing shit inside of your head. Like, be like, hey, yo, spirit guides, I want to talk to you type shit. And then it's like, when you say that, be open to your mind making words inside of your head. Once again, it might feel like you're making it up. That is true. And I will say this too. Your mind, when it comes to clairaudience, you do have a filter inside your mind. So for example, right? Let's say you're talking to a spirit guide, right? But they're trying to teach you something and you don't have a concept of any of that inside your head. Like let's say they're trying to teach you about how to let's say they're trying to teach you what's 5 times 5, right? Obviously we should all know that shit, but let's say it's 5 times 5, right? You could get taught that shit if you already have a basic understanding of math, right? Like even if you never learn multiplication, if you at least learn addition, your spirit guides could tell you, oh yeah, multiplication is just the higher form of addition. Da, da, da. They could explain it like that, right? You know what I'm saying? They could actually do that. But if you have no concept of math at all, it's gonna be hard for words to come through. And then also, when it comes to them coming through, right? Like let's say it's a very fatherly like spirit guide, right? You may hear the voice in your head as your father, but it's like your father's alive and it's not him talking. But it's like you represent that voice as like this fatherly masculine voice. You see what I'm saying? The more and more you practice this shit, the more and more you practice, the less and less filters you have. And you start to understand your own filters when it comes to interpreting information. You see what I'm saying? So just be open to your mind talking. It's like just talk like, yo, spirit guys, give me a message. Then just open up your mind type shit, right? With clairsentience, that's spiritual feeling. How would you build? I'm honestly, when it comes to me, I just practice on feeling shit more. Like I'll meditate on the heart chakra and kind of just feel the information like in my field and stuff like that. It's the best way to describe clairsentience, bro. I could say maybe doing some healing work. Maybe like healing your trauma, because most people have trauma, which shuts them off from emotions and makes them go numb. In fact, when it comes to me, actually, I've been actually having this new ability, right? It's not really new. I've had this before, but like my heart, I get what I call heart taps. Pretty much when I get information and spirit guides talk to me, sometimes they'll tell me things that my fucking heart just starts to palpitate, and it's like holy shit. It's like they're tapping my heart type shit, right? I always had that, but it's like I experienced that shit multiple times a day now due to the fact that it literally started after I was working with the Love Dragon, and the Love Dragon made me bring up all of my pain and forced me to fucking just cry. You know what I'm saying? It just let out everything. It's like it cleared up all these blocks, and then my heart just like I could like feel energy way more because of that. So I would say clearing out different traumas and blockages could help a lot. You know what I'm saying? I made a video about the Love Dragon on my Patreon down below if you want to go check that shit out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and the last one, like, there's definitely way more, but the last one I'm gonna mention is claircognizance, right? So claircognizance, right, is spiritual knowing. How would you build spiritual knowing and intuition? Honestly, I would just have to say you just gotta like literally just ask yourself a question and just get the answer off the rip. Like claircognizance and clairaudience oftentimes mix because you'll intuitively get the answer, and then it's like it gets broken down into words type shit with clairaudience. So these kind of mix together and stuff like that. You would kind of build claircognizance the same way as clairaudience, but you kind of just go off the intuition and not the pure words of it and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You could also practice by doing shit like you could like have cards like this, right? You know what I'm saying? This is the motherfucking remembrance card, you know? So you could just be like, you could be like, yo, what card is this, right? You be like, yo, what card is this? Try to just intuitively know what it is, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe like I'm getting fucking trees or some shit. Then you're like, oh, well that bitch did have fucking vines on her ass. Maybe it's because of that. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just shit like that. So, long story short, just try to find out which of these spiritual or find out which of these clairs most align with you, and then practice building it and using it way more. Because to find out your soul's gifts and to begin building them, one of the best ways is simply by meditating and then asking about your gifts. You know what I'm saying? So like you would meditate, right? Get in that meditative state and then ask your spirit guides about your gifts. And you would either like feel it, you would just get the thoughts for it, whatever the fuck, right? So with all that being said, if you develop your clairs, you can now get in contact easier with your spirit guides. Now you can meditate and ask about your gifts. They could tell you, and they'll also teach you how to build them and stuff like that. Or you'll at least know what gift you have and then be able to like look it up or some shit like that, right? So now let me explain some common gifts. I feel like aside from the clairs, one of the gifts you should develop is your elemental power, right? So most of us are going to feel drawn to an element or various different elements, right? So the basic ones are like fire, water, air, ether, earth, but there could also be like lightning and ice and stuff like that, which mix different elements. You see what I'm saying? It's like, for example, lightning could come from a mix of fire and air and also fire and water. When it's fire and air, it's more like you're generating electricity, right? With fire and air. With water and fire, you're conducting electricity. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to conduct lightning, it'd be fire and water. If you want to create lightning, it'd be fire and air. You see what I'm saying? And then when it comes to like ice, that's like water and earth. It's like the water gets condensed and freezes into ice. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna mention the five main elements of fire, water, air, earth, and ether. And I'm gonna also mention kind of like what their different gifts would be, right? So on a basic level, right? Find out your basic element and just connect with it. You see? Now, when it comes to fire, on a basic level, it could like get stuff done really quick. Like you'll be like pretty passionate. You'll like have the energy to get stuff done. You know what I'm saying? You want to just like do shit and express yourself. But you could also do shit like cultivate life force energy. Like if you have the gift of fire, you could learn to cultivate your fire and cultivate your life force energy. Like let's say there's an earth person, right? A earth person is not going to cultivate their kundalini in the same way that a fire elemental does, right? The earth one is going to be just grounded, staying still, stable. The fire one can actually cultivate energy in a higher level, though. It's like you can actually like feed, because you know how like fire feeds off oxygen. You can feed off the energy all around you with the fire ability. You see what I'm saying? I actually got taught about this with I had this like fire. He called himself a fire god, right? Because he could manipulate fire in so many different ways. He was like a black man with they called he was a Inataka, and he's either Inakata or Inataka, you know what I'm saying? He's one of those two, right? If you don't know about that shit, watch my video called What It Means to Really Be a God, and or go to my Patreon and watch the 1 hour vid I made about the Inataka and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Long story short though, looked like a black man with dreads, but like he was like dark as shit and his eyes are like red. And it's like he was like playing with fire, and it's like he was like showing how the wind was feeding the fire, and he showed me how the same way that the air feeds the fire, you could use the energy outside you to feed yourself. You see what I'm saying? So there's that. You could also use the spirit of fire. You could also use the spirit of fire to astral project. You know, you can actually like build up that fire energy, then astral project type shit with that fire. So like fire, out of all these elements, I'd say that fire and maybe ether are the best to astral project, but definitely I'm gonna say fire. Fire is the best to astral project. You know what I'm saying? And it could also be good with like keeping like a steady and illuminated consciousness type shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Now, let's say it's water, you know? Oh, also, you can actually bend literal fire too, but that may take a bit more time, you know what I'm saying? Now, with water, right, one of the biggest things with water is like controlling your emotions. You see what I'm saying? You can control your emotions, but you can also control, like, if you expand it, you learn how to control other people's emotions too. And use that shit for good. Like, for example, like with when it comes to water, right? You first start off by like when it comes to like the element and the properties of it and not actually bending it outside of yourself, it would start with just allowing your emotions to flow and then understanding your own emotional flow. And as you understand your own flow, you can now begin to manipulate your flow. You see what I'm saying? And then it's like as you learn your own flow and can manipulate, you can also peep other people's emotional flow and how to kind of manipulate their shit. So use it for good on some shit. Like if someone, let's say someone's like sad as fuck, right? You could now help their energy move into a more happy state. You see what I'm saying? We're not just controlling motherfuckers over here, bro. Hell nah. You know what I'm saying? You could also control other etheric frequencies outside of your body. So you can actually pick up on the movement of etheric energy around you and begin to actually move it and manipulate it and direct its flow differently. You see what I'm saying? So there's also that. Now let's talk about air. So air is like the same as water, but for your thoughts. So instead of having emotions flow, you start having your thoughts flow. So you start had to have your thoughts just flow, and they kind of become more elegant and stuff like that. And they kind of just you kind of like understand how they come in. You understand the flow of the wind and stuff like that. You understand the flow of the wind of your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You could say if you want to put it like that. You know, and as you understand the flow of your thoughts, you can now begin to control your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You could also understand other people's thoughts and then, of course, begin to control those thoughts. Use this for good. If they have depressing thoughts, make them have happy thoughts. You see what I'm saying? It could also help you with like there's mental energy which is surrounding us at all times, right? You can actually manipulate that stuff too. And it actually deals partially with astrological energies because the 4D is the mental plane, but it also gets called the galactic plane because galactic energies heavily dictate our thoughts. This is why astrology affects our thoughts and emotions, stuff like that. Because I mean, of course, Mercury's like the main planet for the thoughts, right? But it's like these energies affect you through mental energy. You know what I'm saying? Like even though like Venus is more of like a pleasurable, it's like Venus represents pleasure, what you value. It can represent love and relationships. So it's a bit more emotional, right? But the energy of Venus first affects you through your thoughts, you know? So when Mercury affects you, right? Mercury comes in through your thoughts, and at that point it might just stay your thoughts. Venus and every other planet, right? But specifically Venus comes in as your thoughts, but then will also eventually generate your emotions too, because thoughts create emotion. You know what I'm saying? That's why the mental plane is above the etheric, because you have the mental plane, you have the astral plane, and you have the etheric plane. You know what I'm saying? Then the physical. You can also see you have the mental plane, the imagination plane, and the emotional plane, and then the physical plane. You see what I'm saying? So with all that being said, when it comes to air, right? You can manipulate mental or galactic energy. You know what I'm saying? You can actually begin to control how the different planetary energies affect us through our thoughts. And then like you can actually nullify certain like if it's Mercury retrograde, right? You could completely nullify the effects of that shit by peeping how that energy flows in through our thoughts and then redirecting that shit. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now let's talk about Earth. Earth is good for like staying grounded, you know, like allowing yourself to simply just be grounded and calm. It could also manifest that strength. Like fire could be strong too, but fire is more like quick strength. It's like if this was like when it comes to like our muscles, fire is fast twitch, earth is slow twitch. You know what I'm saying? But having the earth element can make you like very strong and stable. You know what I'm saying? It can make you very disciplined too. It could also expand to shit like it could also expand to shit like slowing down time. Like you could literally slow down your perception of time with the earth. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big thing with earth. Kind of just like make like you could also help other people become grounded too. You know, but you'll overall just be grounded. You'll be more calm. You'll be more stable and more disciplined too. You see what I'm saying? So that's what like the earth power kind of grants you, along with doing like slowing down your perception of time, or also just like slowing down like how like Even though air and water help you control your thoughts and emotions, you could still use earth to like slow down how things happen inside of you. So like let's say you have emotional problems, right? Let's say you're more of an earth element who can't really understand the emotional flow that much of water. You can at least slow it down to understand the emotion maybe based upon how slow it's coming in, you know what I'm saying? So you could do stuff like that too, you know? Now when it comes to ether, right? One of the biggest things with ether is having the ability to clear the mind and become empty. So I'm not saying controlling your thoughts. I'm saying blanking out your mind in general. You know what I'm saying? And overall just becoming empty. Literally becoming empty space, right? It could also make you very psychic, mainly because now that you became one with ether, you're one with all the space around you, right? You could also pick up on any information inside that space. So it's like with some psychic people, right? They'll use the power of ether and they'll simply just channel information from that point of space into their mind. You see what I'm saying? So ether can make you very psychic. It can help you become empty. It can help you become clear minded. You know what I'm saying? Ether got all that shit. You know. So that's like different elemental powers, right? You also have basic magic. So you have elemental magic. That should be, if you're gonna start with magic, I would recommend elemental magic, right? But you also have stuff like crystal magic, you know. Now you could like harness power from crystals. You could harness power from herbs, you know what I'm saying? Overall, magic is pretty much about being able to harness different life force energies and then use them in order to like manifest your intent and your will. You see what I'm saying? You can harness different powers from many different places, and there's so many different forms of magic. And it's like you may have a natural affinity to magic. You see what I'm saying? So that could be your spiritual gift, also, right? Let me say this too. I am gonna drop a PowerPoint really soon on my Patreon about an introduction to magic. So you could go join that if you want to cast that at some point. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna just leave that joint right there. And yeah, so yeah, basic magic. You know what I'm saying? You could do that shit. You also have astral projection, right? That's a big ability, right? And like I said, fire people like ether can help also because if you have ether, but you can have all the elements, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to ether is able to like make you just empty and open. And it's like that can help you get inside that clear headed space to eventually project out. But the fire actually does the projection and it also keeps your consciousness illuminated inside the astral. You see what I'm saying? But astral projection is a common ability, right? That literally everybody has. I dropped the course for that, so go check that out down below if you guys want to get that shit. But I'm mentioning astral projection because you could literally build that simply by becoming more aware inside your life and then going to sleep in a more conscious way. You know what I'm saying? Because you astral like when you have a dream that's in the astral, and if you could actually start to have crazier dreams if you complete the more mundane dreams. Like most of your mundane dreams either come from desires or lessons that must be learned. If you're more conscious inside this life, right, you'll be conscious of your desires and you'll either fulfill them inside this life or you're going to see how stupid they are and not want to fuck with them anyway because you're too conscious for that dumb shit, right? So you have that. And also, as you become more conscious, you naturally learn the life lessons. So when you start to become more conscious inside this life, right, and you clear out your desires and you learn your human lessons, you start to have astral experiences and dreams, which deal more with spiritual wisdom and can expand even beyond that. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, you could have crazy dreams. You could have super crazy dreams if you simply just fulfill your desires or clear them out. So you can either fulfill your desires and or clear them out, and you could also learn more of your human lessons so that way the astral does not have to teach you that shit. You see what I'm saying? But yeah. Then you have frequency manipulation. That's the ability to manipulate frequency, right? So people with water and air will be good at this, especially. Okay, so let me not say especially water, because I mean if you're good with both, then you're gonna be top tier. But when it comes to like the water people, it's like you're gonna notice more of an effect because water is more of like etheric energies, right? And it's like you can manipulate like when you manipulate the frequencies of ether, it has more of an impact than mental frequency. You see what I'm saying? Because mental frequency is more subtle, you know. So frequency manipulation with like a water person is gonna have more of an effect in the physical world. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, I notice a lot of people I've talked to recently have this power, and it's a really a big thing with like Syrians and Anunnaki because Anunnaki aren't serious, right? And it's like especially the water beings in Sirius are super good with this, right? With frequency manipulation, you could change your own frequency. You know what I'm saying? You could change the frequency of other people, which could deal with their emotions, their thoughts. You could also change the frequency of your whole reality. Like, fuck trying to manifest some shit on like some OD hard shit. You could simply just match your frequency to the frequency of the desired reality and then vibrate yourself into that. You can literally change the frequency of the reality around you to match the one you want to manifest. You see what I'm saying? So frequency manipulation is actually a very crazy power that a lot of people have. You know what I'm saying? Especially them Syrians and them Anunnaki. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Also timeline, like different time abilities, right? So you have simply just seeing different timelines and stuff like that, being able to like see your own different timeline, seeing other people's timelines and their past, you know what I'm saying? You also have eventually manipulating them and controlling them, right? And also controlling your sense of time. So number one, you could like see different timelines, right? And then also see how those different timelines actually manifested, which can now allow you to manipulate them. Because if you like, let's say you see into a future that looks horrible as shit, right? You can now see what created that shit and then manipulate that bitch to make it not horrible. You see what I'm saying? So you could manipulate timelines. You could also begin to control them completely. By controlling them, it's like instead of just trying to like manipulate them and change them around, now you control which timeline you're gonna actually manifest type shit. You know what I'm saying? You also have the ability to like speed up time and slow down time. So it first starts with your perception of time. You start to see how time really is just a perception, because there's dead ass people who be asleep for 5 minutes, but they'll experience a whole fucking 20-minute dream, right? That shit really does happen. You know what I'm saying? And you could actually make your mind get like that inside this reality. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying gonna be like I'm not saying that you could fucking like just freeze time and then like fucking do some shit and then unfreeze it. Like people can get there actually. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say people can't get there, right? Because the way you would do that is by freezing everyone's collective perception of time. You know what I'm saying? Like if you freeze your own perception, because technically there's always gonna be time is just. You know what? Let me just explain this. Nah, fuck that. So, because I was about to say how would you even build timeline abilities and stuff like that, but honestly, let me just say this, right? So, time is the flow. Time is the movement of events within inside of the space, right? You know what I'm saying? So you could freeze your own perception of the movements, but the movements still happen. You know what I'm saying? So you're controlling how you perceive those movements, right? If you freeze everybody else, to them it's like nothing happened, but there was still events passing with inside the space. Now, I feel like if you could slow down, like if you could stop the events, kudos to you. But my whole entire point is just saying that when it comes to timeline manipulation and control, and it comes to like speeding up and slowing down time, it starts first with your perception. So it's like I do this shit a lot, where like I want to get some shit done in like a fucking hour. Whenever I do that shit, I tend to work a bit faster and I perceive life a bit different. Like number one, I don't focus on the time passing. And like here, how can I put this shit? It's like I'll focus on feeling like time is stopped. And when I do, well, I just got mean ass deja vu. Anyway, I keep the feeling that time is stopped. And it's like when I do that, I could like notice more things. And I also notice that I'll block out certain shit too. So like I won't check my phone as much type shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like inside every moment, I could capitalize even more. You know what I'm saying? So you might say that my thinking becomes a bit faster, and that I block out certain other stuff too. And it's like as you grow the ability more, you could begin to actually control other people's perception of time. Like I've actually tried this before when I've been around people and I'll speed up or slow down time. And I haven't always been able to tell if it worked, but there has been times where like I tried to speed up time, then my friends check the time and say, "Damn, it's already this time?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Or vice versa. I slow it down, the niggas say, "Damn, bro, it's only this time? I thought way more time passed." You know what I'm saying? So you can actually like it's like I can't Like for me, it's like by controlling my own perception of it, it's like the energy around me warps because they're actually like one of the biggest things is learning about time and how time works. If you want to manipulate timelines and all that other shit, because gravity is actually a big part of timeline manipulation. And you can actually increase your gravity right now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you build like, because if you increase your mass, you'll have more gravity. But you don't gotta like eat or like work out. No, you could just build up more etheric energy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You could like control. You could also build up more mental mass. You know, like if you build mental energy, you now have more mass in that area. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you learn how time works, you learn about different things to manipulate in order to manipulate time. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if I change like it literally my thoughts, like the thoughts I have are going to affect my mass. If I have more thoughts, I'm going to have more mental mass, right? If I have less thoughts, less mental mass, right? So it's like if I increase my mass, right, or I lighten my mass, right? The way that time works around me is going to be different. The more mass I have, the more time slows down. And that's why I'm pretty sure that focusing on time, like when I focus on time being slow, like I have to focus on that. And it's like it's building up that mass and it makes time slow down around me. You see what I'm saying? So now anybody who's inside of my field is gonna have that same like they're gonna feel that pull of gravity and time's gonna slow down around them. You see what I'm saying? So nigga, it's like it's so much shit you could do with the timeline control stuff, and people be having time abilities too. You know what I'm saying? With frequency manipulation, I recommend understanding your own emotions, your own thoughts, and understanding how sound works too. You know what I'm saying? And all that shit, you know. So, just long story short, bro, these are different gifts and abilities that you may have, which you can activate. And the main way you build them is by simply meditating and then asking your higher self about your gifts and how to build them. Your higher self may make you look up certain shit. And it may lead you to a book. It may straight up tell you what to do. But this is how I started learning my shit. Like I got urged to look up certain time books, you know, because you know me, I fuck with time deep. I do timeline surfings, healings and activations down below type shit. You know what I'm saying? But I learned all about time, about gravity, about ether and stuff like that. I learned about so much shit, and I just got taught shit from the Arcturians and from different spirit guides too about how to control time. Like I just got taught this shit in meditation, and it's like I would also it's like the shit I would find online. I could only find it because I knew what to look up based upon what my guides told me type shit. You see what I'm saying? So a lot do kind of go. I mean, not a lot. A lot does not go into this. I feel like it's just about knowing yourself and developing your spiritual senses enough to actually develop that communication with your spirit guides and your higher self. And once you do all that, bro, you could literally now ask any question to yourself and get the answer and start building your gifts. You could also literally just damn see mad people already clicked off by now, but let me say this too. You could also like literally just say your prayer like, yo, I would like to activate my spiritual gifts. Like, just make a prayer about activating your gifts. That could actually help too. And like, you could oftentimes feel like if you say your prayer, you can actually like feel it inside yourself type shit. You know what I'm saying? You could actually feel that shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, say your prayer and just meditate on it, or do it before sleep and let the astral take care of it. Then just kind of wake up and see what thoughts you have about different abilities, different gifts. You know, I'm still you're drawn to type shit. You know what I'm saying? You could do stuff like that too. So without further ado, that's the end of this video. I love you all. I'm gonna catch my next video. Peace.